Ismaxia, I have told my father about my relationship with you. I see for a moment everything inside me went silent after saying those words to him. The air around us seemed heavier, as if it too was waiting for his response. My heart was pounding not from fear, but from the weight of truth finally spoken. I had carried our secret in my chest for too long. Every smile, every memory, every whispered promise we shared had become something sacred yet hidden. And now it was out in the open, vulnerable to the judgment of the world, to the command of my father, the king. He looked at me with that calm, unreadable expression he wears when he's about to deliver a verdict that could change everything. His silence burned more than anger ever could. I could almost hear the echo of your name in my mind, trembling between my lips. I told him how your kindness had disarmed me, how your strength had drawn me in, how your love had become the only truth that made sense in the chaos of my royal duties. I told him I was no longer the boy who obeyed blindly. I was a man who had found something worth standing for, even if it meant standing alone. He asked me if I understood what this meant, if I was ready to bear the consequences. He reminded me of the family's reputation, the kingdom's expectations, the unspoken rule that a prince does not belong to his heart, he belongs to his throne. But I couldn't let him finish. I told him I belong to you. My words came out like a blade, sharp and defiant. For the first time, I wasn't seeking his approval. I was defending something far purer than royal blood, love. He turned away, and I knew I had struck deep. Perhaps he saw in me a reflection of his own youth, the fire he had once carried before the crown extinguished it. The conversation ended not in anger, but in an unsettling silence. A silence that carried both warning and understanding. When I left his chamber, the corridors of the palace felt different. Every portrait of my ancestors seemed to stare down at me, as if questioning whether I had just dishonored them or finally honored myself. Now, sitting here by the window, the cold moonlight painting silver lines across my hands, I can still hear the tremor in my voice when I said your name to him. I don't know what tomorrow holds, whether his decision will build walls between us or force me to break them down. But I have no regrets. The truth is free now, and so am I. You once told me love was not for the weak, that if I ever truly felt it, I'd have to fight for it. I see that now. My crown feels heavier tonight, but my heart, it feels light, almost fierce. I'm no longer afraid of the storm that might follow, because for the first time, I'm standing in the open with your name on my tongue and pride in my soul. If my father sees rebellion, let him. If the world sees scandal, so be it. But when I think of you, your voice, your laughter, your unwavering belief in me, I know I've already won the only battle that matters. The battle of choosing love over fear, truth over silence. Tell me, my love, when the dawn comes, will you still be waiting for me? The prince who dared to tell the world your name. The silence that followed my confession still lingers in my ears like a haunting melody. My father's eyes held 1,000 unspoken words, and though his lips remained still, I could feel the storm rising within him. The weight of generations pressed down upon me in that moment. Every law, every expectation, every invisible chain that binds a prince to duty. Yet even under that crushing silence, all I could think of was you. The way your laughter cuts through my darkest thoughts, the way your presence makes even the coldest winter feel warm. I realized then that love, true love, was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be fought for, tested and proven. I walked out of his chamber with my heart burning and my hands trembling. Every step through the marble halls echoed like defiance. I could feel the eyes of the guards, the whispers of the maids, the disapproval that already seemed to fill the air. The palace, once my home, suddenly felt like a prison of gold and silence. Every portrait of my ancestors seemed to watch me with disappointment, as if they were questioning the blood that ran through my veins. But I didn't bow my head. For the first time, I understood that to love you was to challenge everything this crown stood for, and I was ready to bear that weight. When night fell, I sat alone in the royal garden where the wind carried the scent of jasmine and memories of us. I could still feel your hand in mine, still hear your voice calling my name beneath the stars. The moon looked down, pale and watchful, like a witness to my confession. I thought of you, your courage, your gentleness, your fire. How could I ever deny something so pure? How could I ever let the fear of tradition erase the one thing that makes my life real? Every breath I take now feels like a vow to you, whispered into the dark where no one else can hear. My father's words still echo in my mind. A prince's love is not his own to give, but I refuse to believe that. What use is a kingdom built on rules if it cannot understand the language of the heart? What worth is a throne if it demands the sacrifice of the soul that sits upon it? I have seen men bow to duty and lose themselves entirely. I would not become one of them. I would rather be a prince in exile than a king without love. I know the storm is coming. There will be questions, accusations, perhaps even betrayal. The court will whisper, the people will judge, and my father will stand firm in his silence. But in my heart, I have already chosen you. Even if the world turns cold and every door closes before me, I will walk through the fire for you. My love for you is not fragile. It is fierce, it is sacred. It is the kind of love that defies bloodlines and crowns. Sometimes I imagine you reading this letter beneath the same stars I see from my window. I wonder if you can feel the tremor in my soul, the quiet war between my heart and my heritage. You are my peace in the chaos, my reason when everything else feels lost. I wish I could reach through the night, hold you close, and promise that nothing, not even a king's command, can take me away from you. Tomorrow I will face him again. I don't know what he will decide or what fate awaits us both. But one thing is certain, I will not hide us anymore. You are the truth I've chosen to live for, and even if the throne rejects me, even if the crown falls from my head, I will still have your love, and in that I will have everything I ever wanted. The night feels endless tonight, heavy with thoughts I cannot silence. Every shadow in my room seems to whisper of the storm I have unleashed. I can still see my father's expression, calm on the surface, but his eyes betrayed 1,000 battles within. He did not yell, nor did he curse my decision, but the silence that followed my confession was louder than any roar. It was the silence of disappointment, the kind that pierces deeper than words. I have faced wars, councils, and court intrigues, but nothing has ever shaken me like that quiet gaze from him. It was as if, in one moment, he saw me not as his son, but as a stranger who had defied the very essence of royalty. I remember walking out into the courtyard after that encounter. The air was colder than before, and every step I took echoed against the stone, reminding me that I might have just crossed a line that could never be redrawn. The guards avoided my eyes, perhaps sensing the tension that had filled the halls. I wanted to scream, to shout your name to the heavens, to tell the entire world why I had done it, that I had spoken the truth, because you deserve to be known, not hidden like a forbidden secret. But I held back. For now, silence is my armor, and patience is my sword. I stood before the old fountain where we once met in secret, the one surrounded by roses that bloom even in winter. The water's surface rippled with the reflection of the moon, and I found myself tracing it with my hand, as if hoping to touch your reflection instead. I remembered your laughter echoing softly through these same gardens, your eyes holding a light I had never seen anywhere else. Those moments now feel like fragile dreams caught between reality and in memory. But they are mine, ours, and no one, not even my father, can take them from me. As dawn approached, I found myself thinking about what it truly means to love someone in a world built on power and politics. They call it rebellion, but I call it devotion. They say I'm reckless, but I call it courage. To them, love is weakness. To me, it is the only strength worth having. I do not care if the crown trembles or the kingdom turns its back. I would trade every jewel, every title, every ounce of privilege if it meant one more night in your arms, one more morning seeing you smile. I know he will summon me again soon. There will be talks of alliances, duties, and expectations. They will try to remind me who I am supposed to be, a prince molded by blood, not emotion. But I am done pretending that I am made of stone. I am flesh, heart, and soul, and all of them belong to you. Perhaps that is my greatest defiance, that I dare to be human in a place where love is treated like a sin. Even as I write this, I feel the winds shifting outside. The banners of the kingdom flutter in the distance, and I wonder what they would say if they could speak. Would they condemn me, or would they whisper of a prince who loved too deeply? Maybe centuries from now they will tell our story, not as a scandal but as a legend, a tale of a man who chose love over legacy, truth over tradition. So if the day comes when I am stripped of my title, when my father turns his back and the world no longer calls me Your Highness, I will still stand tall, because I will have something the crown could never give me, a you. And in that I will find a kingdom no power can destroy. The morning light crept through the tall windows, soft and golden, but it brought me no warmth. The palace stirred slowly, unaware that its prince had already made a choice that might shake its very foundations. I stood by the window, watching the horizon where the sky kissed the earth, wondering if you were awake somewhere under the same sun. It's strange how the world keeps turning, even when one's heart stands still. I had always believed the throne was my destiny, the crown my birthright. But now, after speaking your name aloud in that sacred hall, I realize destiny is nothing without meaning, and meaning is nothing without love. I spent the morning in quiet reflection, walking through corridors filled with history. Every tapestry told a story of conquest, every statue a symbol of power, yet not one spoke of love. Perhaps that is why the palace feels so hollow. It is filled with victories, but starved of affection. I could almost hear your voice echoing softly between the pillars, reminding me that love is not rebellion. It is the only truth left in a world built on lies. I want to believe that, even if my father cannot, I want to believe that somewhere in his silence, there is a fragment of understanding, a memory of the man he was before duty hardened his heart. When I reached the courtyard again, I saw the same rose tree where I once found you waiting, wrapped in twilight and courage. I touched one of its petals, fragile, trembling in the breeze, and thought of you. Every moment with you has become like that rosy, delicate, fleeting, yet infinitely precious. The scent carried me back to the nights when you spoke of dreams, of freedom, of a world where titles and bloodlines didn't matter. How foolish it seems now to think those dreams were distant. Because in my heart, they are closer than ever. They live, they breathe, they burn. I know my father is preparing to summon me again. There will be consequences harsh and inevitable. They may try to silence me, confine me within these golden walls, or send me away to remind me of my place. But I am not the boy who once bowed in fear. I have loved you, and that love has taught me what the courage truly is. I can endure exile, but I cannot endure living a life that denies what my soul has already chosen. So if it comes to that, I will walk away, not as a prince, but as a man who finally found the strength to live for his heart. Tonight, when the stars rise, I will look for the brightest one and send my thoughts to you. I hope the wind carries them, that somehow you'll feel them brushing against your skin like a silent promise. Whatever happens next, know this: I have no regrets. Loving you has made me more alive than all the crowns and ceremonies combined. If the world calls it madness, let it, because if madness is to love you this deeply, then I would rather lose my throne than lose the only reason I ever wanted.